never made it, but I know what it takes. I'm motivated by a mix of emotion. Got my statement, and I'm reading it slow so I can understand it fully. Appreciate my standing, go out of this world and right on time. Oh, never in my life have I seen the sky light up like this. I'm far away from Earth and I wanna know if you exist. Mission control, do you read me? Send me my coordinates lately. Mission control, am I drifting? Tie me to someone who will love me, yeah. Wait, I think I'll last a bit longer. Fine.
Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. This is the time of the year with football starting up and so many wrestling shows going on right now that there's just so much to talk about. So today we're going to be all over the place. So I'm sure there will be something in today's video that each and every one of you will like, since we are going to be all over the place. I'll start out with this in case you have not heard. Nick Saban got a brand new contract this week. I believe it was on Tuesday when it was announced. The contract runs through 2030, and by 2030 Nick Saban will be almost 80 years old, so I don't think he'll coach until 2030, but maybe I'm wrong. But his new contract basically just gave him a small raise to where he makes more money than Kirby Smart, which is funny because last Sunday at church, me and a church member, Michael Taylor, were talking about it, and he asked me what I thought about Kirby Smart now making more money than Nick Saban, and I said, well, it don't surprise me because they won a national championship, but it really doesn't matter because nowadays any coach that wins a national championship gets a big raise. So whichever coach wins this year's national championship will get a raise just like Kirby Smart did. But Nick Saban signed a contract, I guess, about 10 or so years ago with Alabama that said he had to be the highest paid coach in the country. And at the time, he made right around $8 million a year. But of course, now it's more than that. So now pretty much any time a coach gets a raise to make more than Nick Saban makes, Nick Saban gets another raise to make more than they make. And I don't have a problem with it because I think Nick Saban has proved that he deserves that kind of money. And a lot of people don't like it because it is a lot of money. But at the same time, to a lot of people, especially the college football insiders, these coaches pretty much now, especially with the whole name, image, likeness thing and the transfer portal being a year-round thing, these coaches pretty much have a full-time job. You're pretty much coaching the players on the field, and you're having to coach the players off the field to make sure they're happy. So it's pretty much two full-time jobs. During football season, you have to go out to local high schools on Friday night and watch all the local kids. So during the season, you don't see your family, you don't see your kids. It's football all the time, pretty much from August through December. So I have no problem with guys like Nick Saban or Kirby Smart making that kind of money. The problem becomes when coaches like Nick Saban, who have actually got a proven track record, get raises. You have other schools that give their coach raises because, oh, if we don't give them a raise, they're going to leave our program. And then you have these coaches making $5, $6, $7 million a year who have done absolutely nothing. But every time every other coach gets a raise, for some reason, these universities feel like if they don't give their coach a raise, they're going to leave. And they're giving these coaches raises when they just don't deserve it. And Chet Holmgren, the rookie NBA player, is hurt, and he's going to be out for the season. And I talked about this back around NBA draft time when I did my NBA draft video, how I thought he was always going to have injury problems. And sure enough, he has not played a game yet in the regular season. He's out for the year. And I believe he's listed in the program guide as 7 foot tall and 190 pounds. And that's as much of a stick figure as you can possibly be. And if he doesn't put on some weight, he's always going to have some kind of knee issues, foot issues, ankle issues, or something, because you can't be that tall and that lanky. And of course, you can't help being tall, so the only thing he can do is put on some weight. If he doesn't, we're never going to know how good he might possibly be, because he's always going to have injury problems. And then, in case you have not heard, Mountain Dew has released the very first can. And you need to go out and buy you one as soon as you see one. But a lot of people like to have something to drink during a football game, so that you got to get up and walk back and forth during the game, especially nowadays when most teams run the up-tempo offense. By the time you walk back and forth to your kitchen one time, you've missed at least one play, if not two. So most people nowadays, you either leave spots on your table or you have to buy a koozie to set your can on. So Mountain Dew has released the first ever can that will not leave a ring on your table. It has a Gamecock logo on it. And I wanted to mention this because a lot of people have been trying to compare this year's DJU at Clemson with the 2018 situation between Trevor Lawrence and Kelly Bryant, or the 2014 situation between Cole Stout and Deshaun Watson. And I want to make sure everybody knows that there's a difference between 2014 Cole Stout and Deshaun Watson, and 2018 Kelly Bryant and Trevor Lawrence, and 2022's DJU and Cade Klubnik. Because Brandon Streeter did come out this past week and say that Cade Klubnik will play some because he's too good to be on the bench all the time. But the difference this year is that Cade Klubnik is good. He's a great player. Don't get me wrong. But he is not as highly touted as Trevor Lawrence was, and he's not as highly touted as Deshaun Watson was. And DJU is better than Kelly Bryant was, and DJU is better than Cole Stout was. Going into the 2014 season, everybody knew that it didn't matter how great Cole Stout was. Deshaun Watson was going to play. Cole Stout could have put up Heisman Trophy-like numbers and had the best QBR numbers in the nation, and Deshaun Watson was still going to play because he was that good. Same way in 2018. Kelly Bryant was good, but as highly touted as Trevor Lawrence was, Kelly Bryant could have put up Heisman-type numbers and had 95 touchdown passes, and Trevor Lawrence was still going to play. Going into this year, I think we all know that if DJU puts up Heisman-type numbers, Cade Klubnik's going to play on occasion, but it's going to be at a minimum. The better DJ plays, the better DJ is, the less we'll see Cade Klubnik. So the situation's different because with Cole and with Kelly, it didn't matter how good they were. You were still going to see a lot of Deshaun Watson and a lot of Trevor Lawrence. If DJU is great, you'll see Cade Klubnik, but it'll be at a minimum. It might be one drive per game, maybe one drive per quarter, and that's it. So as long as DJ plays great, you'll see Cade, but it'll be at a bare minimum that we'll see Cade. And then we'll get into some of the college football games from week 0 coming up here in a few minutes. First, I want to talk about NWA 74, night number 1. We, of course, previewed it earlier in the week, back on Tuesday. And when we previewed it, they only had 3 matches on the pre-show, and 9 matches on the main card. They ended up having 4 matches on the pre-show and 10 matches on the main card. I won't talk about the matches on the pre-show, but I will say there was one big announcement that came down on the pre-show, and that was that Harry Smith, who, of course, if you follow wrestling, you know, Harry Smith is the son of British Bulldog Davey Boy Smith. He was one half of the NWA Tag Team Champions. Him and Doug Williams were Commonwealth Connection. But Harry Smith could not wrestle last night due to an illness, so Commonwealth Connection had to be stripped of the NWA Tag Team title, so they were up for grabs. In their place was Hawks Aerie, which is the father-son duo of PJ and Luke Hawks, and they wrestled La Rebellion on the main card, and the winner of that match was the new NWA Tag Team Champions. We'll talk about that match here in a few minutes. The first match on the main card was EC3 making his NWA debut by defeating Mims. And then we had the team of the Miserably Faithful. And of course, one of the guys on that team is Sal Renaro, who came to wrestle us at Ultimate Wrestling Federation a few weeks back. He is part of the Miserably Faithful. And they defeated Ill Begotten in a Beelzebub Bedlam match. Homicide defeated Kerry Morton to retain the Junior Heavyweight Championship. Matt Cardona had his hand-picked opponent. He said he was not going to pick no main event superstar, but the person he was going to pick is the future of NWA, and he picked Rolando Freeman, and Rolando Freeman defeated Matt Cardona. Chris Adonis defeated Odinson in a one-on-one match. Max the Impaler won the Burke Invitational Gauntlet match to become the #1 contender for the NWA Women's Championship. Scion beat Jax Dane for the NWA National Heavyweight Championship. Bully Ray defeated Mike Knox in a tables match. And La Rebellion defeated Hawks Aerie to become the new NWA Tag Team Champions. And the main event on night 1 last night, Camille defeated Taya Valkyrie to retain the NWA Women's Championship. And now Camille will wrestle Max the Impaler coming up later on tonight in night number 2 of NWA 74. And if you're wondering why it's called NWA 74, it's because it is the 74-year anniversary of the NWA. Now, on to some college football from yesterday. Hopefully everybody enjoyed week number 0. I know there wasn't a lot of games, but it did whet our appetite because remember, this week, college football starts on Thursday night and will go all the way through Monday. So we'll have 5 straight days of college football. The first game that everybody's talking about, the only actual decent game of the day, Northwestern defeated Nebraska by the score of 31-28. And poor Scott Frost, he just cannot win a close game. Since he's been at Nebraska, the only games he's won have been the games that they've won in complete blowout fashion. Any game that's close, he finds a way to lose. And everybody talked about how much better their offense was going to be with Casey Thompson at quarterback and Mark Whipple coming in to take over the offense, leaving Pittsburgh to come there. And their offense did look a lot better, but your offense doesn't matter when your defense is that bad. Northwestern had over 520 yards of total offense. And, of course, there was an onside kick play in the third quarter that everybody's talking about being the difference in the game at the time. Nebraska was leading, and then they never scored again. But that game made me mad, and this is another pet peeve of mine. If you follow the channel long enough, you'll learn all kind of weird, crazy quirks about me. I'm the type person to where if I can't watch something all the way through, I don't want to watch it. And it's different if I sit down at 7 o'clock and I say, well, you know what, I think I'm going to sit down and watch the Braves game for an hour or so, and then I'm going to watch Monday Night Raw. Because then it's my intention, 8 o'clock, I'm turning the channel. But if I sit down to watch something and I had the intention of watching it all the way through, and I can't. It irritates me. If you have satellite or ever have had satellite, you know if it rains real hard and the rain falls the right direction, it knocks out your satellite. Well, back when I had satellite, if I was watching anything, ball game, wrestling, it didn't matter. If it started raining and the satellite went out, I was done. When the TV came back in, I was watching something else. I cannot stand to watch something and be interrupted from watching it. If I had the intention of recording something and I forget, and we end up going to a family outing somewhere, and then I get back home and I realize, oh man, I forgot to record that, I'm not going to watch it because it's been on for 30 minutes. So instead of me sitting down and getting to enjoy what I am seeing, I'm sitting there thinking, what I miss? What I didn't see? Anything good happen? And I can't focus on what I'm watching. Well, the Northwestern Nebraska game yesterday, almost at halftime, had the nerve to tell me that it was going to be preempted at a certain time due to a NFL preseason game. And I know NFL preseason is more popular probably than college football. I know undoubtedly the regular season is, but preseason I'm not too sure about. There's probably parts of the country, parts of the nation that it still is, but there's probably also parts of the nation where people would rather see a college football regular season game than an NFL preseason game. So as good as this game was, when they told me at almost halftime that it was going to be preempted, I was mad because then I knew, hey, I can't watch the rest of this game. I just spent all this time watching this game, and now I can't watch the rest of it. Had they told me before the game it was going to be cut off at a certain time, I'd have never started watching it. But anyway, on to some more football scores. Western Kentucky defeated Austin Peay by the score of 38-27. Illinois defeats Wyoming 38-6. Illinois has now won a Week 0 game 2 straight years. The good news for Illinois is it looks like Brett Bielema has finally figured out that college football is not what it used to be, and you now have to have an offense to win, and that should greatly benefit Illinois. We know that until last year, Kirby Smart had not figured out that football has changed, and you now have to have an offense to win. If you don't have an offense, how good your defense is doesn't matter. You're not going to win a meaningful game. And Kirby Smart finally figured out offense matters, and then Georgia won a national championship. I'm not saying Illinois is going to win one, but if Brett Bielema has always been a successful coach when he's never had an offense, if he's finally figured out that it takes offense to win nowadays, Illinois should be really good. But Illinois under Brett Bielema, and also while Bielema was at Arkansas and when he was at Wisconsin, he would be totally fine with winning every game 10-7. Now, 35, 40 years ago, that was great. Nowadays, you ain't scoring 10 points and beating anybody. The game's just changed too much. And then we had North Carolina defeating Florida A&M by the score of 56-24. The only reason I bring that game up is because we know ever since Mike Brown has been at North Carolina, their defense has been absolutely terrible. And of course, this year they bring in a known name defensive coordinator. So everybody thinks, oh, their defense is going to be so much better. And it did look good in the fourth quarter. But Florida A&M scored 7 in the first, 7 in the second, and 10 in the third, and had 24 points going to the fourth quarter. And they didn't score in the fourth. But if North Carolina's giving up 24 to Florida A&M, my guess is if they don't score at least 40 in every game this year, they're going to lose some football games. So if you like to watch track meet football, I encourage you to watch North Carolina. Plus, I want to give a shout out to my man Willie Simmons, who was a quarterback at Clemson at the early turn of the century. And he is now the head coach at Florida A&M. And speaking of former Clemson players, former Clemson running back Roderick McDowell is now on the coaching staff at Jacksonville State. And Jacksonville State is now head coached by the former coach of West Virginia, the former coach of Michigan and the former coach of Arizona, Rich Rodriguez. So I do think Jacksonville State's going to be a really good team this year. They were not bad last year, and now you're adding Rich Rodriguez, who is a proven winner. I think they're going to be a pretty good football team. And then we had the game from late last night with Vanderbilt and Hawaii, and it looked like it was going to be a good game for a while. And Vanderbilt tied it up 7-7, and then the very first play of Hawaii's next drive, they fumbled, and Vanderbilt picked it up, scored, and after that, it looked like Hawaii just totally quit. But it was still 21-10 at halftime, and then Vanderbilt put up 35 points in the third quarter. So I thought that game would be competitive, and it was for a while. It looked like that fumble return for a touchdown just totally destroyed Hawaii's momentum. But Hawaii's now coached by their beloved former quarterback, Timmy Chang. So I do think they will improve as the year goes on. Any thoughts on NWA 74 or any other college football games? Please feel free to let me know. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. You should really try blindfold archery. You don't know what you're missing. And that wraps it up for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.